What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Good evening. It is Thursday night. It is your nightly review of the crypto markets, the price analysis, technical charts, and what the heck is going on in Iran. We'll break it all down for you as always. My name is the one and only 2-Bit Crypto, aka Mike. If anyone was curious about what my actual name was, there you go. I'm still a bit ill. I'm really sorry, TikTok. You guys get the brunt of that because Mike runs here. But anyway, I'm still a bit ill. My ear is still ringing. But hey, look, time waits for no man at all, actually. So we need to get into what's going on in the price action of the charts here and dive into what is going on. Bitcoin selling off aggressively, as did the stock market today. But the question is, why? Why did the stock market sell off? What is really going on? And what are they not telling us out there in crypto land? Well, we're going to break it down for you as always. We're going to bring you the latest charts, price analysis, and everything else that you could possibly ever want. We had a great discussion last night. Damien's in the house. Welcome in, buddy. Had a great discussion, none other than Vern and Daniel. And we actually had Cosmic Crypto in with us as well, which is super good news here, talking about what was going on the price of Bitcoin, what everyone's opinions were. So if you want to get more dialed into that, look out for that show every Wednesday. It is pretty exciting. But tonight, it's not about that. There is obviously, we had a push down in the market, a sell-off, but there's also some crazy stuff happening. Shorter time frames are playing out favorably. Everyone's freaking out that, you know, the market's going to go to zero. All this kind of crazy stuff. People even calling that the bull market's here. So we're going to try and break down some technicals. We're going to be looking at the MVRV indicator and what this is telling us, as well as a little bit more geopolitical stuff that's going on. It should allow us to really understand what's going on right now. Are we in the bits of a uptrend? Is this going to be the bottom? Was the bottom 60K? Not really going into sort of some of the nuances that we went into over the last 2 days, but I want to specifically focus in on the MVRV indicator, as well as some of the more geopolitical news, specifically oil. Okay, we're going to be talking about oil, the Strait of Hormuz, and how this all starts to come together, because that, in my opinion, will give us an indication of what we need to watch, and more importantly, therefore, what we need to look at in the short term. So if you're brand new here, by the way, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Also, if you're brand new here on TikTok, hit the follow button, tap the screen, lock in some likes. It all supports the algorithm. Please don't be quiet. Make sure that you are very much chatting away. It supports us, supports the channel, and everything else that's going on. So welcome in. Shab's in the house. Been a minute. Craig's here. Tomato Pete Foz. Welcome, Earth Perspective. Good to see you again, buddy. JFR's here. Welcome in. Paul. Good to see you, Paul. Tomato Pete's in, Avon, Cheese, Robert Dover's in the house. Welcome in, buddy. Bearded, good to see you, money. My neighbor is bought into crude oil. Fair play. Fair play. I mean, crude's going to come down at some point, depending on what happens with the Strait of Hormuz. Could be the play of the century. Casey, my man, holding it down as the moderator there on TikTok as well. Welcome in. Mark Noby's in the house. All right, everybody. So let's talk quickly about what's going on with the price of Bitcoin. Let me just move TikTok over a little bit, so you guys can see what is going on here on the price. And yeah, and then we'll kind of get into everything and anything you guys might want to talk about. So no surprise here that we actually got a wick down here, which we'll talk about why, okay? We'll talk. Rome Eclipse says unsubscribe 10 times. And here I am. Let's go, mate. Let's go. Don't unsubscribe. It's definitely not worth it. But yeah, anyway, as you can see here, I need to just move this this window over here. There we go. So we got a sell-off on the price here from this upper range. No surprise, really. Lots of interesting stuff going on, particularly in the stock market, which I think has created a broader push down. But obviously the debate is, well, why is the stock market selling off? Why is that happening? We need to understand it. We need to get into the thick of things and understand exactly what is happening. Is this people FOMOing, selling, taking profits, and all this kind of stuff? All right. So I want to try and dive into that in a little bit more detail, which is kind of interesting. So here on the 12-minute chart, we did come down. Now, what's interesting is we actually did go lower. We actually broke down to around 70,600, which again is kind of pretty interesting as that all plays through, to be honest. I said my chat disconnected for a second then, but we're back. Do you have an opinion on AI stocks? I mean, no one's talking about them right now, are they? Everyone's talking about the war in Iran. Or certainly the kind of 6-day offensive that we got going on. I don't know if you can call it an actual war just yet, but anyway. Anyway, that's for a totally separate discussion right now, as opposed to where we are. But like I said, we definitely are in this place right now where we got this sell-off. I don't think it's the craziest sell-off in the world, and I don't think it's a surprise either. We had 2 points here, and if you remember, we were touching on this yesterday. We said, look, potentially this could indicate the top. And if you remember, we were looking at this on, I think, the 5-minute chart. So this will have been, yeah, this is last night here. So if you remember, we were sort of discussing this all of last night and we said, hey, you know, Bitcoin's kind of trading above the range. It's hanging on for dear life here. And then obviously we dropped below this. We then dropped below the 20-day EMAs. We sort of walk away through this. A little wick back in as we got Europe. We said Europe would come in as net buyers. We said Asia would be net sellers. Everything played out pretty much perfectly as we expected. European markets bought. And then we sort of just, you know, sold off into the US market open, of which we sold. So there was a couple of things that went on, again, that I think is worth breaking down. We'll sort of talk about it in tonight's live stream, so which is good. Okay, so that's kind of where you get to a little bit here on the 5 minute, but we're not bothered about that. We're going to go for a little bit more of a broader sentiment and sort of do our top-down analysis from, you know, weeklies down, and then we'll sort of get into a little bit more of a kind of specifics of what's going on here in the price action, okay? So here again on the weekly charts, you can see Bitcoin, again, holding up pretty well on this key level. That, again, we put this chart on here the other day. If you remember, we actually talked about how this could play out. It's actually come away a little bit. We talked about how this could play out. This is the sloping trend line. What did you get? Complete rejection, okay? So totally rejected here at around $74,000. This probably becomes a very interesting point now where we start to walk up. Is it historically somewhere? No. What is worth noting here, though, I think personally, is this is a super low area of liquidity on the weekly. So this is an interesting wick down. Now, my just at the minute price target is probably, I foresee this to be a further push down. I think we see continuation back down to around $70,000. That's where I'm at. I did close out my shorts last night that I was opening and wait for another opportunity. If I'd have seen it wicking today, I would have got in. But I did close my shorts out, and I'll just wait and see now for another opportunity within this market. But you can see right now here on the weekly candle, rejection on here, which is really important to give us the sort of sense of where I think this is going to go. It also then probably continues us if you went, well, you know, we're kind of in this sort of lowering trend here that's going to sort of walk through. Definitely says we're going lower here on this price action. So again, this kind of supports where we've been going. If you go to the 2-day chart, you get a very much similar pattern. So you kind of get this really obvious pennant forming here. The breakout to the upside, again, rejected both on both of these. So the horizontal support line and the downward sloping trend line, we again have got rejected on these. Now, you could Fibonacci this from kind of this level to sort of see where some of the potential price movements are going to get to. You know, where do we feel that this kind of, oops, I didn't not do that actually. Where do we think this sort of analysis, or where do we sort of get to as this kind of lower range right now? We can see here right now we're wicking down 618 Fibonacci around 70,500 starts to align. I think this would be a pretty solid place to think about where we initially go from price action. So between around 70,000 and around 70,500, I think is certainly where I'd be looking for. And then the daily candles, look, we sort of looked at that, but again, you can see here, I'm pricing in 70,000, which I think is where it is. That then becomes the important test. Why? The 20-day EMA is probably going to wick up to that point. If you said it takes us, say, another 2 days to get down that, bear in mind, you have tomorrow, and then we're into the weekend. And the weekends haven't been super favorable to us for the last few weeks. If you think about last weekend, this was Saturday dump, Sunday was a decent move, weekend after, Sunday dump, weekend after, Sunday dump, and Saturday was pretty flat. And the previous one, Sunday was a dump as well. So weekends haven't been particularly wonderful, I think it's fair to say on the back of it. So, you know, we have to kind of look out for me. And think about it, you know, if we sort of came down here, reject on this line, push down, break the 20, then you're already back to kind of $66,000, which, you know, is kind of, you know, when all these markets are pumping and everyone's telling you the bull market's here and, you know, people are going, oh, if you didn't buy at this rate, you missed the top. This is why I think people just get so excited sometimes. And again, there's nothing wrong with being bullish on things, but logic should prevail, I think, when it comes to this. So yeah, I agree, Earth Prospector. I think the weekend's going to be pretty interesting as well. The fact that you had this and the fact the volume never really increased tells us that this breakout wasn't really anything super crazy to be trusted just because of where it is. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't get some bullish news and we sort of see a massive push. I still don't think this range here of around 78,000 is totally out of the potential. But right now, I don't. Right now, I don't personally see it. Just my opinion, okay? Just my opinion, for what it's worth. So that's where we sit on there. Now, when you go sort of slightly smaller time frames, you can start to see how this kind of really plays out. Again, getting wicked down, getting pushed down again. And here's on the 4 hour where it's all starting to get a little bit real and probably starts to just support us in terms of this move. Now, at the minute, you could argue that, well, too bad, hold on a minute. We actually have the, you know, the high, we have then the low, we get the higher high, we get the higher low, we then get the higher high. In theory, you could argue for a alternative view, which is a bounce off the 20-day EMA, prints the lower high, gives us another push back to the upside. You know, you could be again in that range of 78,000. So what is going to depict what happens, and how do we therefore consider what the next potential move is going to be with the price of Bitcoin? And I want to just get into some of this stuff. We'll come back and look at some of the other coins. We'll come back and look at some of the other charts in a little bit. I really want to just sort of get into what I want to talk about more specifically. So this is kind of where BTC sits. Now, this becomes an important chart to think about. We haven't really looked at this one. This is essentially the global oil provider, Brent crude oil. Essentially, this is like the big boy, okay? We sort of tracked, I think it was like West something or other. Side, what's going on, buddy? Essentially, this is going to be the big one, okay? So as oil starts to spike, the assumption is that everything's going to go up in price. And obviously, why is oil spiking right now? Well, this is to do with this, the Strait of Hormuz. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this because we have already done it. But I want to talk about the impact this potentially is going to have, because I think it's therefore quite important as we sort of walk through some of this particular events, okay? So, I'm going to move you there. Do you want like a different view of live TikTok? I mean, I don't know what the view of life is where more people would come in, but maybe there's. All right. Anyway, so the Strait of Hormuz, as we know, February 28th, US-Israel strikes. You can see this kind of playing out here as this is sort of walking through from the 28th, as it then walks through into the 2nd of March. And you can see a significant decline in the flow of tankers, ships, whatever you want to call it, okay? So Iran retaliates, warning any ship entering the Strait of Hormuz could be attacked, which we've heard. Now, I think one maybe got attacked today. Maybe. Maybe. I'm not sure, to be honest. But still, Strait of Hormuz carries 20% of the world's global trade, which, again, we've sort of touched on and, we've sort of talked about why this is important. So, again, why, though, does this then play out into a much broader sentiment? And I guess, where do we want to get to when we start talking about why this is specifically important? So, let's talk about it, okay? And I just randomly clicked on a button I didn't mean to click on this screen, which is kind of frustrating. That is not going to do what I want it to do, which is even more annoying, actually. Oh, bro, what's going on here? What is going on? Okay. Okay, so... yeah, there we go. Okay, I need this. So the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, so why is this important? Yes, massive amounts of global oil. Now, if you think about this from a geopolitical sentiment, actually, Trump's playing a little bit of a blinder here. He essentially now controls most of the waterways in which global oil is going to flow. You think about Venezuela, you think about the Strait of Hormuz, like this is all like a pretty big thing. It's essentially going to be a choke point for China, for Russia. They're going to, China's like 81% import of Iranian oil. Okay, it's a pretty big deal. So what then makes this even more interesting? Well, if you think about it this way, essentially that if crude oil goes up in price, it will affect everything. Okay, everything. And this will play out into a pretty interesting statement right now. And the crazy bit about this stream, obviously I put the real reason crypto is selling off is not what you think. We'll talk about what that is in a minute. But if crude oil hits $80, you're going to see an inflation on CPI by a significant margin. Could even be as high as 2.9% increase on that CPI number. Now remember, the CPI number is something that the Federal Reserve as well as the US government are watching. In fact, it's a Trump-onomics big deal. The fact he's saying, look, I'm bringing CPI down, I'm bringing inflation down, like I'm doing all this stuff, and it's going to be super bullish for the broader US markets. If we were to see oil start to rally 95, 110, maybe even $130, you're at 3.9% increase on CPI, okay? Which is a pretty big number. The Consumer Price Index. Think about it. It literally encompasses everything from manufacturing plastics, clothing, heating your homes, running your cars, all this kind of crazy stuff, okay? And just think about it this way, by the way. You've also got 1% already on Trueflation. That's actually significantly up, nearly about 0.15% in a little over a couple of weeks. Pretty wild. The Tim, tomorrow jobs report. Yes. The expectations it's going to be a little bit shit, but we'll touch on that as well in a little bit. Tim, maybe level up, but someone comes in and pushes a crypto as their first message by someone I don't recognize. What's that for? Okay. I don't think I can do anything about it though. Just listed on Robinhood sitting. Okay, whatever. So again, this is kind of where it all starts to play in. If you get a spike in oil, you get a spike in costs. Trump can't afford this. He can't afford it, okay? He can't afford everyday Americans to feel bad. Why? Bear in mind, the Fox News is a very pro-right-leaning, pro-Trump kind of pro-Trump news agent, okay? Or pro-Republic. Look, I mean, everyone's got their personal opinions, by the way, but President Trump's job performance, there is now a view that there is a disapproving rating. Obviously, the Iran thing's going to be very decisive. And look, we don't want to get into the politics of it, but what does it mean? He simply cannot afford this to happen. So he's going to have to manage some things very, very differently. And it may be gold, it may be oil, whatever it is. I actually think this whole thing is definitely related to oil. I definitely think this whole thing around Venezuela is pretty interesting, but we're not here for that. We want to know what's going on. But why does this then become even more interesting? Well, because I don't know if you guys saw, but China allegedly now sending submarines to the Strait of Hormuz. This thing could get super crazy. So everyone's freaking out right now. So although people think the Bitcoin's selling off because like, well, it hit the resistance level, people are starting to FOMO into... No. They think there is going to be a global fucking war between China and the US at the minute. This is where people are crapping themselves. Also, China is building some brand new submarines that will essentially put more of the US mainland within range. So not only are China moving submarines to the Middle East, they're also building some new submarines that potentially now can launch and get to mainland the US. So the reason we're seeing risk assets sell off is people are genuinely concerned that this war is going to escalate. Now, just so we're clear, by the way, I am not in any way, shape, or form saying war is a good thing. I am not. However, while tensions globally increase, if China moves stuff across to the Middle East and that gets pretty tense, expect real volatility in the market. This, again, in my opinion, is going to throw the doors open for opportunity, as we have been discussing now for the last couple of weeks. So very important stuff going on here at a geopolitical sentiment. So remember, you have the Strait of Hormuz potentially going to be a problem. You have Fox News reporting that Trump's kind of doing a crap job. Again, your personal opinion is your personal opinion. I'm just reporting what they say here. You also have this potential massive risk. Think about it. Oil only has to double in price from where it is right now, and you've got a 4.3% risk on CPI. No one's going to thank you for that. What are people going to do? Get out of risk assets. They're going to go into US bonds. They're going to go into cash. They're going to go into all things non-investments, okay? Stales the stock market, quietens everything down. It's all bad news, okay? And then you also, like we said, have the potential risk that actually China's going to move some submarines into the Middle East and it's all going to get really, really crazy. So there's loads of geopolitical, pretty tasty stuff going on right now that I think people need to be very conscious of, because not only will it create extreme volatility in the market, it's just my opinion, it's going to throw opportunity in the market. And I think, again, these are where we should be ready, we should be poised, and we've been talking about this for the longest time. Now, something else that's worth noting that we've been discussing for a while is the BTC versus gold ratio, specifically here on the weekly chart, which we've always said, look, whenever BTC can hit this bottom range, this is kind of what we're looking for, which we are currently trading around right now, essentially meaning that, look, gold versus Bitcoin is telling us Bitcoin's a pretty good buy, okay? That's kind of where we are right now. This, I think, will stick around here. I think it actually probably comes a little bit lower. 12.37 could be an interesting level if you're thinking about where we will go to prior to the last move, which was around 8.84. Actually, the accumulation, the difference between the two is about the same sort of number. You get about 170% from where we sit on the previous one. 170% is sort of similar to where we are right now. So again, you can kind of think about where we get to. But this is, again, something worth noting as you see the valuation between gold and Bitcoin change. Hey, 2bit, the future crypto millionaires. What's going on, Beebs? Good to see you, man. Hey, 2bit, hope it's good. Not tuned in for 2 weeks. Been in the Seychelles, and your live stream is 1 a.m. there. Sucks there. 3 extra days due to Dubai airport closed. Back in the sunny UK. Mate's not. Well, it was sunny today, actually. It was all right, Lee. It was kind of decent today, but stay safe, man. Good to see you, and yeah, hope you're doing well. Mr. Rick Cogswell, what's going on, buddy? I agree, it's not going to be solved in a few weeks. Yeah, I don't think it is either. The more and more I look into it, and the more and more that kind of this plays out, I don't think it's going to be in a few weeks as well. I definitely think it's going to be a little bit longer. So you're going to have to be very, very conscious about how all this plays out. More importantly, where we sort of get to post this particular event, okay? Worthwhile noting, if you ask me. Okay, so good point. So what else we got going on here on the charts when we look at this? BTC right now holding at this particular range, which is fine. So where are we going to in what's happening, and why is we seeing this kind of real big volatility in the market? Well, there is a rumor going around, a pretty advanced rumor, that people are now starting to deliberately dump gold, okay? Now, I'm laughing because, I think it's funny. We've been calling the gold short for ages, but look at this. Gold may have dumped algo set around 8 a.m. Eastern time. For the last 4 days, gold started selling off exactly at 8 a.m. The pattern looks similar to what we saw in Bitcoin earlier when Bitcoin used to dump around 10 a.m. Now a similar timing pattern is appearing in gold. Monday, 8 a.m., gold down 2.8. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all seeing significant declines in gold. Is this Jane Street? Well, I mean, you'll have to debate it, but we've been saying the gold sell-off is happening. And again, if you here look at the weekly, gold now just broke underneath this channel. If we just extend this channel out a little bit, you can see here that gold officially did break out below this channel. Going a little bit nearer here on the 2-day, you see gold is starting to come down, exactly like we've been talking about. We've been saying the gold hype, get them in and sell them off. Again, watch out for this. I think this does dump tomorrow. Just my personal opinion. Again, it could be wrong, but gold, in my view, is done what it's done. This obviously is generally a bearish pattern. So you get this kind of wick within the range, and then you get the retest. You get the retest of the lower range, and then it poopa-doopies all the way down, potentially even down to the 50-day EMA, by the way, around here, around 4,800. So be very mindful on gold. Silver doing exactly the same as well. And remember, some of this stuff's going to start to get pretty interesting because once munitions and military hardware starts to run out, they're going to need silver, they're going to need copper. So even that, you have a demand, like an insatiable demand for some of this stuff, and it's still selling off. Think about it. I actually personally believe, just my personal opinion, think about it. When did Trump go in to Iran? Well, he went to Iran here. And you're telling me that we ran all the way up here in silver, and then now we're starting to see a sell-off. Like, this is the FOMO buy. This is the sell-off for the profits that all the people that got in here, wrecking the people that got in here. Ultimately, while there is demand coming in right now, sellers are outweighing buyers when it comes to silver, gold, copper, and quite a number of commodities. So again, that's why it's important to think about where you are. What is the undervalued asset right now based upon what we've been talking about? So if there is some deliberate selling off, watch out for it. We could see a little bit more going in. So with all of that, and with sort of getting the idea of, hey, Bitcoin right now, 71.5, 700 bit of change. All right, cool, 1.68%. That's nothing to stress about. It's a decent price. Yeah, we've seen this kind of move. So where do we get to then in terms of understanding what is happening? And more specifically, what can we look at to tell us and give us a bit of an indication? So let's talk about what the MVRV actually stands for. And I think we've kind of touched on this before, but essentially what it means is the market value and the realized value. So what is the current price versus the kind of trend that the price has been on, and where is it in terms of the actual market price that goes in? Now, it is important to understand that these are generally moving averages, because these then give us a bit of an idea in terms of kind of where this is going to go and how you can kind of read it and understand it, right? Which again is important. And what you're essentially doing is taking like the valuation of a particular asset, and you're then looking at it in terms of the average price over the sort of the last period of time. For example, if we were looking at like a month or a year or whatever it is, it kind of gets in, okay? And it essentially tells you whether an asset is at this moment in time undervalued or overvalued, okay? And this is why it's important to start to think about where some of this stuff is. So let's take this, okay? This is the this is just the standard. Yeah, this is the standard MVRV. We're then going to look at the 30-day MVRV and the 90-day MVRV. So we can kind of get a bit of a view as to where is the valuation going. Are we seeing a decline in valuation, which again plays out into the favor that we're going to see a further decline in price? Or are we starting to see an incline in the value, which essentially means that actually the bottom potentially could have been in, okay? So it's going to tell us a little bit of an example. Now, this isn't just a foolproof plan, by the way, and you should use this along with everything else that's going on. Don't forget, we have full trade guides, setups, everything else in our Discord. Do check out the link in the description. Also, check out in my link tree, which you can get in my profile. You do get access to our trading guides, our pattern plans, as well as our bots and everything else. It is part of the premium package. You can grab that by going to whoop.com/stupidcrypto. It's about $11 a month. Or you can simply grab a channel membership here on YouTube and you get access to it as well. All right, premium Discord, totally worth it. It's literally like $7 a month. I mean, you can't get that value anywhere else, FYI. But you also have links to all our favorite exchanges, all our exchange partners, like Weex.com, by the way, where we have an insane 50% rebate right now going on with those. Obviously, this is 0%, but check them out right now. Definitely worthwhile. Deposit $100, get $50 straight back into your account to go and trade over there. And you also get trade bonuses, volume bonuses, everything else. Okay, it's a great platform. It's where I've been doing loads of my trading right now. We are going to get a giveaway. So if you haven't already signed up, I definitely recommend doing it, by the way, because you want to be part or able to get involved in that giveaway. So check out the link to Weex.com in the description. It's also in the chat, by the way, and it's also in our premium, in our free Discord. and our link tree as well. So check out those things. Okay, so the MVRV right now, what is this actually therefore telling us? So you've got a couple of things to understand here on this particular chart. You essentially have the big black line, which is the price, okay? This is just telling us the average price of where BTC is right now. The big red line is the short-term holder cost basis. If you take everyone that's bought short or small amounts of BTC within the last year, this is telling you what the average price of those particular individuals are. If the price therefore is below the red line, you're going to say people are underwater. If you're underwater, what do people tend to not do? Sell. Okay. You then have a number of other things here. So you then have the dotted red line, which is the MVRV plus 1 SD and the MVRV minus 1 SD. So these are basically the market valuations to a 1 standard deviation to the plus side and a 1 standard deviation to the downside, which is way more kind of like finance talk for basically like a big shitter. Do you know what I mean? Like if something goes completely wrong, then you kind of get it. It's almost like the variation of like insane volatility that would come in with it specifically. Okay. So understand that we're less bothered about that. If I'm dead honest within this chart. Now at the bottom here, you have the orange. In fact, you guys probably need to see this. Let me do this TikTok so you can see it as well. So at the bottom here, what you're looking at as well is the orange is obviously the short-term holder MVRV in profit and the short-term holder MVRV in a loss. So if the line here at the bottom, what we're saying here is that the amount that people hold based upon the actual market value, they are in profit. So it means the asset at that moment in time is overvalued, okay? The people are making money on it. People are buying at a higher price as where that particular asset's been. If it's blue, it means that the value or the asset is particularly undervalued. Therefore, it means that people are simply either buying at a lower price than what it should be, or that the average price is, or simply people are not selling. Now, if we then break this down, and we look at previous cycles, because this is where it gets really, really important, and it should then start to tell us as we walk through the next couple of charts what is coming. So if you take this back here, this was the bull market cycle top of 2017. You can see here that the short-term holder, the market value and realized value were massively over. You can see the short-term holder basis was underneath the price. People were buying Bitcoin and they were essentially making loads of money. Everyone remembers 2017, everyone remembers 2021, okay? And you can see here at the bottom here, massive spike, but a significant period of time all the way up. So we can argue here quite comfortably that when we are in a bull market, then we are starting to see a significant move to the upside. Too bad if you mess with Polymarket or similar yet, I like the interesting times and they have everything. No is the honest answer, but I was talking to Daniel Gaten about it. Trading against price. I've not done it. Maybe we should. It'd be kind of fun, I think. Maybe we should do that as like a bit of a community thing. But yeah, we'll take a look at it. I'm down for it. Maybe we should do like a little stream in the Discord at some point and sort of, do something like that. Be cool though. So this kind of gives us a bit of an indication here right now that historically when we see market bottoms coming, we see prolonged periods of undervalued MVRVs followed by then a reversal and then that start to track to the upside. The note here would be that you generally see as the market starts to push to the upside, still you get dips into the undervalued of MVRV. Why? Because people are buying the FOMO uptrend. If you look fast forward to 2021, you can see exactly the same thing. We came off the bottom end here in 2020 as we then start to pump into the Bitcoin the Bitcoin bull market in 2021, followed by then a pretty sharp decline before going back up again for the second peak here in December. Okay, so this lines up perfectly where we are. So if we take what we see here and then we apply it to where we are right now, and this is kind of where we start to see a little bit more of an interesting view here in the MVRV. Well, what do we see? Well, right now we see that Bitcoin essentially is undervalued. So the market value versus the realized value is undervalued. It's cheap, all right? And so when people are like really FOMOing and starting to panic and starting to get into this whole narrative of like, oh shit, the bull market's here, like I'm missing all of this, blah, 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 blah. What do I think of XRP? I like XRP. Then in my opinion, this is where people ultimately get wrecked. Like this is where you get these spikes. But right now, we are not anywhere near going back to even a neutral standpoint here in terms of valuation. So there is two scenarios you could play out right now based upon where BTC is on the MVRV. You could say, well, it essentially is just undervalued. So I'm going to buy spot markets because longer term, this is going to play out favorably. And this is why people are already buying. You could also argue here, though, we haven't gone back above the center line, which would tell me that that is a potential reversal that's going to start to come in based upon the realized value. What are people prepared to pay? And as you can see here, we did actually try and get back above that. These are where people started to get a little bit excited. January, a little bit more optimism coming in the market. So I think we can determine just from this that in a very basic view, that more downside is certainly going to be here. We're going to see Bitcoin still trade undervalued. And I think wherever you have this, which is the short-term holders versus the realized price, that actually people aren't going to sell. So you have this decline. This is where institutional selling comes in. This is where people will sell at a loss, which will push the price down even further. Okay, so we can kind of understand that, yes, sentiment is bearish, but price is undervalued, okay? So don't ever lose sight of that. If you assume that Bitcoin's going to rally to a bigger all-time high than we've seen previously, then you kind of get into this place of saying, well, that's fine. And I do believe it's undervalued, and I'm fine with accepting the fact that I think it's undervalued. Buying Bitcoin at any price, in my opinion, below $250,000 is probably a decent view on the next bull market cycle. So let's extrapolate this a little bit more and say, well, if we start to look at this over a period of time, what does this give us? So you can see here, this is the MVRV gradient oscillator. Now, people will be like, Two-Bit, what the fuck is this? It is essentially telling us where the price of BTC goes either into a positive or not. Are people selling or not? And then you have the realized price, which is the big orange line at the top. You have the actual price, which is the black line. You have the delta gradient, which is basically the mean average between the two. So blue essentially means that we are undervalued. The gradient on the market is that the price is still undervalued. Realized gradient is people are selling. Okay, people are taking the opportunity right now, and they are simply dumping it on a 30-day period. Well, what can you see here? You see that this is in decline. And decline normally attributes to further downside momentum in the price. So we are significantly declined. Now you could argue and say, well, hold on a minute too, but this is starting to come back to the upside. Maybe it is. But I think sentiment is still very much with us, that we're still undervalued. And historically, we've always seen negative price action when we've been undervalued. So this kind of gives us an idea here on the 30-day that we're doing it. Now, when you move this up to a 90-day period, this is a supply change, essentially looking at, once again, distribution of BTC from a supply perspective versus price, and then what that looks like at a percentage of the total. Again, this is understanding if it's undervalued and people are buying it, then what does that look like as a potential change? And what you can again see here is right now, these are prices going along the bottom. You are then on the left-hand side, you have the total number of supply. What you can see is, well, what you can basically see right now is where the supply of BTC sits, where people have bought it. And there's two very obvious areas. Right now, you can see here, the actual biggest part is around $67,000, where most people did actually buy the dip. So if price retraces back down to 67,000, expect a push down further. Why? Because anyone that bought here that was either in a position to try and sell is going to sell at that point. They're going to freak out. Think about it. Short-term holders, they're dumping it. It's a fact, okay? We can check it. We looked at the MVRV. They are simply dumping when they can. And so when you get price to come back down to this side, and the first test, by the way, is right now. We actually see a big wick here around 72,000. Well, what happened on the price of BTC at around 72,000? We got rejected. We're at 71,500 right now, which again, isn't really the biggest number in the world. You can see this. Like, no one really gives a shit about this sort of price, but we start to see this 70K, expect to push down a little bit more. We then could potentially see this cascade happen pretty quickly. So look at these price actions from around 68,000. Expectation was if we hit 68, I'm ready to buy, baby, because I think we're going to go lower. And I think this is where you start to get to 66 and potentially that push to anywhere in and around 62K. What's going on, Fairground? Welcome in. RJ's in the building. Says we might be revisiting 40,000. I've never gone that low, but I do think we'll see another push down. Just my personal opinion, by the way. Just my personal opinion. By the way, quick note, if you haven't already hit the like button, do give us a quick like on the stream, please, if you could. Also, share it with a friend. Make sure that everybody knows we are live breaking down these charts so you guys are absolutely dialed into exactly what's going on in the market. So these just kind of give you a bit of a flavor. Cornish, what's going on, my man? Good to see you, buddy. I spent about 12 hours watching and taking notes on people who have made them with success. It's the coding that I'm struggling with. What's that will do? It's confusing. I consider myself a well-versed in AI. Prediction markets, okay. That Claude bot, I've seen people doing some sort of crazy stuff with that, really, which is kind of interesting in my opinion. But yeah, not for me. So again, this is kind of all starting to play into some of the ideas as to where price may push down from, and why I think that, look, you can look at the charts all day long. You can kind of get in this world of going, well, maybe this, maybe that. But when you start to understand where some of this sits, Casey, my man, then you can start to apply some logic as to what's going to happen. So right now, BTC is holding up 71,500. Cool. It's down about 1.5% of the day though. So that tells us that price is just starting to come down, albeit sentiment pushing a little bit further back at the upside. But, in my view, this is all starting to play out as a favorable thing. Now, what else is going on that could create this market volatility outside, obviously, of the Straits of Hormuz? Well, that is this. And essentially, yet again, we see the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act rejected out of the Senate. Crypto legislation hits an impasse as banks reject the White House compromise on stablecoin rewards. Again, the calendar is becoming the enemy of this bill, said Stiefel Brian Gardner, citing limited Senate floor time before midterm. So the more and more we go through this, the more and more this all plays out, the more and more likely this isn't going to get passed, which, again, is where I think a lot of people have priced in this potentially being signed off. These are all catalysts, in my view, that certainly could send price lower. So this is where you start to build these layers, these potential cascades that could come in the market that I just kind of feel people are completely negating. You have charts and you have specific indicators that are telling us that the potential risk here is actually pretty high. And what you've got on the other side is people absolutely max bull posting, saying that people that think this market's going down are out of their fucking minds, which I always think is a recipe for a bit of disaster, really. It all boils down to that. The Strait of Hormuz, does it affect the oil trade? Because remember, China's moving subs there. There's a potential 4.3% risk on CPI, and ultimately, therefore, we could actually see this push back down. I did see Kristi Noem got fired. Yeah, I did actually see that, in fairness. Like I said, I don't try and get into the politics of what's going on. I don't know if she's done a good job or a crap job. I've no idea, really. But yeah, pretty interesting that Trump's doing that given the current time and situation that's going on. So one of the other things I wanted to really just quickly touch on, which again supports kind of some of the narrative that we've been seeing, is essentially what's going on with the Federal Reserve and the TGA. Now remember, the TGA is a Treasury General Account where that money's been flowing into while you've had certain government bodies being closed down and not really doing much. Again, you can kind of see how this is all sort of playing out and, well, ultimately where we sort of get to. Generally speaking, when you get liquidity moving to the upside, you then tend to get a price uptrend. Right now, what do we have? Not a lot. In fact, you can see how the TGA started to push down along with price. We see consolidation. We see a slight move up. Again, this is all very much around liquidity and movement of liquidity that's going on. They're not going to do anything with the war in Iran other than potentially use it to buy shit. Okay, so if you note, recently there has been a discussion around buying some stuff from the Ukraine around anti-drone things. So this is kind of where some of this money might go and start to get shipped out. Again, liquidity could be a good news story. If you then compare that to the reverse repo, this is where banks are having to borrow money as well. You again can see where we get declines, then these generally follow in terms of price as well. Like I said, you can see here, look, price is coming down. This is why my expectation is that, yes, I still think price continues to push to the downside. And as much as I actually thought this week was going to be relatively bearish, it actually turned out to be very much not bearish and actually has kind of turned out. But again, fake pumps mean nothing. If you're all in on this market, then fair play to you, because I'm not. But these are some of the things that I think we just start to see a potential push down, a potential cooling off in this particular market as we start to see the potential to come back down again. So pretty interesting if you ask me. And certainly, like I said, my sentiment right now sits and absolutely marries to a further potential push down in the market. All right. So worthwhile thinking about, okay? Is it a time to probably take some profits? Again, it depends. If you bought the bottom at 60,000, maybe. Depends what you bought, would be my view. Anyway. As AI isn't sentient, all AI's math equations don't really fast, so not as amazing as everyone makes out. I mean, that Claude bot thing looks pretty crazy, but I don't trust it to be on my computer, if I'm honest. So yeah. How does the AUDD stablecoin XRP ledger help the price of XRP? I mean, it's a really tenuous link. We were sort of talking about this last night. It does burn a little bit of XRP on the exchange, but the honest answer, it doesn't really. If I'm honest, exposure maybe. Yeah, we discussed XRP a little bit on the TikTok live last night that we were talking about. It doesn't really give you the exposure that I think a lot of people would hope. Wouldn't banks be pushing back on Clarity Act to force price down so that they can accumulate before? No, the banks are pushing back on the Clarity Act because they want your money. That's it. The banks are a conglomerate. I don't care what people say, and everyone knows my personal opinion of the banks as well. I just think they're awful. They want your money. They want to use your money to make their money. And actually, it's as bad as the people at the top making more money. Yeah, that's why the banks want it. So you know, whether it's on Ethereum, Solana, XRPL, whatever it is, the narrative of stablecoins will only really influence XRP if it actually becomes a real utility in terms of, say, the banking infrastructure, global payments, and then, you know, you get sort of bigger movements. Will XRP become the global currency? Probably not. Could it be used, though, certainly to transact financial capital around the world? Yeah, 100%. 100%. And the reason why I would say it's different to RUSD is if you think about what's going through, eventually all these stable coins will become super regulated. It'll be essentially, you know, like we said, you'll have to be AML backed one-to-one. As bad as it sounds, you don't have to be in terms of certain crypto assets. So like XRP's market cap isn't backed one-to-one by anything, but if it's a stable coin, it does have to be backed by treasuries, bonds, gold, whatever. Interesting, if you ask me. Okay, right. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we are. That gives you, in my opinion, just a view of the MVRV. Like we said, my personal opinion right now is that, yes, markets are bearish, and I still think we still see a push down here. Maybe, you know, not so much. Maybe we consolidate a little bit further down, but, you know, I certainly kind of feel like it will at some point come back down. Excuse me, as lot as the indicators are sort of telling us that. Just my view. So, like I said, would I be all in on shorting this market? No. Was I shorting the market? Yeah, we shorted this top here and actually came out pretty well. So, yeah, bank loan, your money out. Yeah, fractionalized banking. If you're ever sure about whether the bank's a big scam or not, just go and learn about fractionalized banking. It's just a joke. So, what about BTC daily time frame, bullish time, or still mid of a bear market? Well, this is the daily time frame right now on BTC that you're looking at right now. And my personal opinion here on this is I don't necessarily think I don't think it's great. I mean, you kind of have maybe a little channel starting to play out here. If this starts to consolidate around, interesting, look at that point there, by the way, Monday. Watch out, Monday might be spicy. But again, you don't really have a lot going on. If it trades within this range, then fine. Maybe it hits the resistance and comes back down in line with the market. That could be a play that comes in. You know, maybe it chops around a little bit, hits this upper range and bounces back to the upside. That could also be a play out right now. I think anything, you know, if we break above this 73,000 range, that might be spicy, but my view is that I think we come down. You are seeing short time from here, the 20-day EMA starting to wick to the upside, the 50 also starting to flatten out, which, you know, if you got that to come up here as the 50 flattens, this could be a pretty interesting move here that could actually indicate price is going to go, you know, higher. It is kind of wait and see, but, you know, arguably the breakout's confirmed at the minute. We just need to see what this candle does. I mean, this could be, you know, this could be a pretty big reversal that could come in here, potentially. Could Clarity Act exclude banks and give crypto its own structure? No, I don't think so. What is the nutter who put millions on a long trade at 40x leverage doing? Maybe we should, yeah, well, I mean, I saw that, but I mean, I still think loads of them are like, I mean, like, what would be the word I use? Like funded accounts. Like they don't make any sense if you ask me. They're all a bit weird. I could never remember where the is it this one? Maybe it's this one actually. Oh no, it's not that. Not that. I can never remember the actual website for it, where you can get like the full what's going on with people trading like crazy amounts of cryptocurrency, but yeah, I mean, anyone that's gone 40x long, pretty crazy. Yeah, good. Yeah, it was all right, actually. I actually have I made my own jumper. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I've got another run through on there, but yeah, the only annoying thing is my ear is literally ringing, so it becomes pretty challenging to hear what people are talking about when I'm trying to present. But yeah, no, it was fine. So yeah, all gravy. All gravy. I just want my sub 1 XRP bonus. I can imagine. Seems to have a floor at 65k. I mean, we talked about this potential bottoming here at 65k, the lower range. My view is if it breaks below this, though, you're going to come to the bottom of the range here, at 63,000. You know, these are sort of potentially where you get to as this sort of plays out, and they align pretty well to Fibonacci's as well. So, you know, I think if you took the top of the range, the bottom of the range, you start to sort of see where some of these price layers sit in with that. But yeah, that would be kind of where I would be positioning myself. In my opinion, some supporters are saying if you want to make America great again, detach from Israel. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Well, no, I didn't do the glow sticks today. I didn't do the glow. So I was only throwing out the idea of doing the glow sticks. So they on one of my slides, it's a 2-minute video, and it has Insomnia by Faithless on it. And actually, people weren't totally did it. I also did a joke, by the way. It's going to get way too retaily, though, if I say it. So one of my slides, I referred to something called Wagjil, okay? Does anyone know what Wagjil is? It's W-A-G-J-L-L. Does anyone know what that means? If you know what that means, then this will be an interesting statement. If you don't know what it means, then you'll be like, this guy's talking absolute nonsense as usual. But anyway, so this is kind of, we'll come back to that in a minute. I want you guys to see if you know what Wagjil stands for. But this is kind of potentially where BTC could do something, but it doesn't feel like it's going to do anything right at the minute. It's going to sort of feel a little bit set. The other thing to think about, by the way, for a POC, which is the point of control here on the VPVR indicator, is probably going to sit around 67,000, which is a slightly upper range here, which is actually where we did wick down to prior to that candle moving, which is going to be somewhere around here, this kind of mid-range here. So again, look out for it. It's not footballers' wives, no. So again, what it's almost like the worst thing. So it's what a good job looks like. So essentially, you're telling people, hey, this is kind of what it will look like. And one of my slides, right? One of my slides. I can't believe I'm going to do this to you guys, but it's what, you know, some of you might like this, some of you might not. I don't know. We'll see. So one of my slides basically show like these pictures of like good stuff, like good stuff. Like, oh, this is kind of what it looks like. This is kind of what we expect. Okay. And then what happens is on my last slide, this comes up and I say, this isn't a wagtail. This is a wagjil. And then I'll explain what it is. I think it's hilarious, but apparently no one else does. Everyone has said that is the worst joke I've ever heard. But I'm on at like 1:30 in the afternoon after lunch. So I need to kind of give some energy to people. So, you know, I thought it was hilarious. Like, it literally like has all these like cool pictures like flying up on the screen, and then that comes up, and then I say, it's not a wagtail, it's a wagjil. I mean, I'm struggling not to laugh about it now, but apparently people don't really seem to find it that funny, but I thought it was funny. Anyway. I think it's funny anyway. I think it's funny. I guess you had to be there. Shut up, Stu. Yeah, you did have to be there. Oh, mate. Come on, broski. Come on, broski. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Okay. I was trying to find out where I thought I had it. You know when like some of this DEX trading is, but I can't seem to find what site it's on. I'm just such a noob. Where is it? I thought I had it in my favorites. Maybe not. I thought I did have it here, but obviously not. Don't be a wag, Karen. Yeah. Maybe 37. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Tumbleweed. Come on, Curtis. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I thought it was good. Okay, you guys are going to make me take it out, aren't you? Honestly, I don't want to take it out as well. I think it'd be hilarious. I think it'd be hilarious. Maybe you guys don't. Maybe you guys are like, absolutely not. What are you talking about, you massive noober? Anyway. I just hit the like for the bad joke. No, come on. What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, I think I found it, actually. I think I actually have had this in my... No way. No way has this been there all along. Oh, no, that's not it. Okay. No, that's not it. That's not it. Your jokes all up from here, like XRP. I hope. Hey, John, let's go. I mean, like, fingers crossed, eh? Fingers crossed. Right. Anyway, where's BTC at right now? 71,224. What are we seeing on the short term? 4-hour charts. Looking like it's trying to reverse a little bit here on the 1 hour. Currently holding the 50-day EMA. So rejection here, by the way, probably sends us back down to 70,000. So just in my opinion, whenever we trade below this line, if we don't get the W pattern, so we could probably reject a little bit, come back down, retest 70,600, and then potentially, bounce back. Right now, very, very important. It's going to be way more important in terms of some geopolitical stuff going on and, kind of, I guess, what sort of plays out over the course of the next few days, which I think could be interesting as well. So, yeah. Keep your eyes focused, people, because you don't want to miss any of these kind of moves, in my opinion, all right? Just in my personal and very humble opinion. Right, I still can't find what this website is, but it's really frustrating me. I did actually save this. But, oh, there it is. All right, I got it. I got it. Oh my God, I'm such a noob. I did have this saved then. Okay, why is it? Oh, maybe, is it this? What? No, this is not what I was expecting, actually. Anyway, what do you think that bullish candle total breaks major resistance? Also, do you think that bullish candle total break, as in the total market cap, or what do you mean? I don't know what you mean. Blue-legged. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. By the way, if you haven't already hit the like button, do hit the like button, please. Would massively appreciate it. Again, does support the channel here. So if you haven't already done that, then yeah, it would be a massive support and a big help if you could. That would be greatly appreciated. And as always, don't forget, like I said, we have got 50% rebate here on Weex. Also, we now have a new one with Bitunix. Check it out. They've got all the liquidity, the top coins. They've also given you a 50% rebate. It's pretty insane. You can see here, look, up to a $1,000 deposit, trade 50,000, dead easy, $500 straight back into your futures bonus account. You also can get up to $1 million in trading volume. You get $200 straight back as well. No KYC. It's available all over the world. Again, another great exchange partnering here with the 2Bit Crypto channel. So if you are interested in trading cryptocurrency, my opinion, by the way, is only do it if you know what you're doing. Then check out Bitunix, check out Weex. Again, both links are in the description. They're also in our link tree if you want to get a little bit more access to those. So check them both out. All right, good. So let me know in the chat what you guys are thinking, okay? I definitely appreciate some views, thoughts, opinions. What's on your mind right now? What's going on? You're like, holy crap, this market's going to zero or this market's going back up. Let me know. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. As I secretly try and do this in quiet and silence to try and find out this website that I really want, which I feel like maybe I have it, but then at the same time, I'm like, that's not what I remember it looking like, which therefore means it becomes annoying that it's not the thing I want it to be. But I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what it was, but hey, such is life. Such is life. Bear's in the house. What's going on, buddy? What's going on? Oh, it is here. All right, okay. They've got a new one. Right. Okay. Okay. I got it now, I think. Application client side exit. Okay, I'm fine. Trading. Top traders. So I can't see top traders. Analytics. Okay, so they've updated this. I don't want to see this. It looks awful. What do you think about Rise? What do you think about Rise? IRT Rise. Is it launched now, Tim? In fact, let me bring that because I still didn't do it yesterday. I'm sorry, Tim. I'm just bad at sorting all that stuff out. You know, like I just get delayed and just get hung up on kind of what's going on. So okay, right. I think I'm sort of getting the hang of what's going on here. So if we go to BTC, 40x leverage here on Bitcoin. Is there any? Oh my god, there is some pretty. So people are definitely like trading the opportunity to the upside here. This is the new Hyperdash. It's not very clear, is it? This is kind of the new, you know, some of these big trades. Look, it's $1.3 million trade here. Position change. Pretty big trade here. Trading perps, unrealized P&L at 1.6 million. Currently on a BTC long and an ETH long. Interesting. Interesting. Is it this one I need? Yeah. Right. Where is it? Where are you, Tim? There you are. Has it launched, Tim? T-Rise bonded by the community is 5.7 million. Holy crap. Looks pretty wild, actually. Is it live yet, or is it a dashboard? Bond your tokens to vote on the 1.5 billion Rise treasury. Okay. Market is going up. Can only stay in fear and greed for so long. That's true. That's true. I mean, the only thing I would say is right now the market's definitely pushing down right now. So 2.13. So we are actually seeing a little bit of sell pressure coming in right now. So yeah. Serious question. HBAR is set. A set low cost for transactions and uses HBAR for the transaction with limited supply. How can they keep the price fixed if HBAR token moons? How can they? Serious question. HBAR has a set low cost for transaction and uses HBAR for the transaction with limited supply. How can they keep the price? Well, it depends who holds the supply, doesn't it? And how much HBAR it uses per transaction. That's the thing. That's the thing. So yeah, I mean, there's always a way, isn't there? Let's just call a spade a spade. There's always a way. Always a way. Yeah, is this T-Rise out, Tim? Who is Brad? I see what you've done there. I don't know what that means. Trade sideways for a while, my opinion. Earth, yeah, I think so. I mean, look, BTC is dumping right now, so we could lose 71,000. We said this. My view, by the way, I think 70,000 is the next target, unless we get this kind of W pattern coming in. But W patterns can be a little bit more bullish generally. So you can see here, look, lower range W pattern that played out bullish. You can kind of see just where some are slightly better than others, but inverse head and shoulders tends to be a little bit bearish. So right now, you've not got super crazy stuff going on here right now. You could argue that we've got the M pattern that's playing out, but yeah, I think if anything, this ends up being a slightly shorter term W pattern here that then can sort of break out. I mean, what are you looking at? What are you looking for as a potential mover groover above the 71534 range? So it needs to move up a little bit. Personally, I think it's going 70,000, 746. I think it's pushed down here. You can see there the bounce. And then I think we probably end up lower down here. So watch out. I think this market's I think it's turning a little bit more bearish than people may want to agree on the shorter time frames. Move up into the higher time frames. It kind of feels okay still at the minute. Weirdly, on the 4 hour, still actually feels all right. But I still think we see this kind of push down. So yeah, be mindful. Be mindful. My opinion, like I said, for what it's worth, I'm not saying that I'm a super tier guru kind of guy. But yeah, just when you look at the charts, they feel like that feels like it's a little bit bearish, doesn't it? Likewise, that doesn't matter how you look at it. That is definitely in a downtrend here on the 4 hour chart. So what's the reversal? We'll take a look at the CNN futures in a minute as well. So just to give us an idea for the last day of the week, what does that kind of feel like or play like? But yeah, let's take a look at it in just a little old secondo in a minute. Stu, definitely the market dipped when 2-bit told his bad joke. Come on, Curtis. Don't be like that. I don't think it did. The market is ridiculously nervous at the moment. I'm pretty sure it dipped a bit when Brittany got arrested. I mean, that's true. Yeah, Brittany was it DUI, I think. It's kind of wild, isn't it? Tim says it works with Canton and low market cap. Thought it might be worth a shot. Looks right now. I'll take a look at it in a bit more detail. Like I said, I've got the website open here, so yeah. SFP at 70128. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, look, 70,000. You're pretty much on the money where I'm at. 70,059 is kind of where I'm at. Moss says sideways markets. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, this could come down here quite comfortable. You know, maybe, you know, the 20 is probably going to do something like that in the short term. You know, maybe get a little bit of chop here. You know, could we go back to this fair value range, 71.3? Maybe. You know, equally, we could sort of come back, bounce up a little bit, you know, get rejected off that range and then cup and handle pattern maybe. You know, that could be the play there on the 4 hour. Like the 1 hour definitely feels a little bit more like a, you know, like a bearish sentiment here on the 30 minute as well. You know, you've got a really short cup and handle to the downside. Again, down to this range here around 70,000. So definitely feels like that could be the plan. That could be the absolute mover and groover. Maybe. By the way, we have all these in our premium Discord, which you can get by becoming a channel member or going to whoop.com or simply checking out our link tree. And remember, it's 2bitcrypto_YT if you want to get access to that. It is dead good. It's totally great value. I'm obviously going to shill it a little bit differently because it's mine, but I definitely recommend it personally. Also, do you guys want to see something pretty interesting as well? Again, I don't know if you guys want to see something kind of fun. Where is it? Here it is. So someone sent me this. They were like, hey, 2bit, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Best Info Crypto, delivering breaking Bitcoin, Ethereum, and cryptocurrency news alongside real-time price data. So this kind of goes through lots of like, you know, cool stuff going on in the market, what's happening, like great website, all this kind of stuff, yeah? All kind of exciting stuff. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like lots of like, you know, really cool stuff. And then he has here, look, March the 5th, Best Crypto YouTube Channels of 2026, the top 10 channels for news, analysis, and education. All right, let's have a look and see who they think is in the top 10. Well, let's take a look. They've got Coin Bureau from Guy Turner, Educational Macro, all right? Benjamin Cohen, Altcoin Daily, Crypto Arrows. Yeah, I can kind of see those. Jacob Cryptoberry, Crypto Zeus, Clay Bro, Austin Hilton, Bora, 2Bit Crypto. Are you kidding me right now? What the hell is this? 2Bit Crypto is in the top 10 crypto analysis YouTube channels. There he is. It's me. Let's go. Look, you can even click on here and subscribe. Yeah, see? Everyone thinks this channel's rubbish. It's not. There I am, look. You can head over here, dead simple, become part of the community. You can simply subscribe to the channel and do whatever you want. Become part of the community. Watch all these crazy videos that I put out, keeping you max bullish on what's going on. See? There we go. Who would have thought that, eh? Who would have thought that? Top 10, baby. Do you think the banks are going to let stables give some interest? No. No, I don't, actually. I really don't think they are. I think if the banks can avoid it, they absolutely 100% will. They will not do anything that gives anything to the crypto industry. It's a direct competitor. Right, breaking news right now. SEC finally settles with Justin Sun and Tron Crew after putting the whole fraud case on ice. Back in 23, they hit them with an unregistered TRX BTT sale, wasn't wash trading pump, and paid celeb shills. No disclosure. Case paused for talks. Now official resolution drop. Wow, the SEC just dropped that. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. Whoa, we must be in a crypto winter. Just gets me right there. Just gets me right there, Cornish. Get out of here, bro. Right. Anyway, such as life, my friends. Such as life. What have we got going on? What can we kind of see here on the price analysis? Where is the charts taking us? What can we see, everybody? What can we see? So anyway, this is on, where are we on now? 30-minute chart. So right now, 30-minute chart does feel a little bit bearish. You know, worth thinking about where this kind of goes. You know, do we see kind of further pushing down in the price? Maybe. Maybe. Levi did make the top 500. You guys are bad. Come on, you massive chops. I mean, equally, you know, you get this kind of, you know, potential sort of moving around. The falling wedge could play out here, which again would be a bullish version. You know, think about this. If you were to put this as like, you know, a bit of a sort of, you know, jangle. I mean, it needs a well, I mean, maybe you come off that there as like the falling wedge pattern. Not the greatest falling wedge, but you know, you could argue, look, that's pretty much a falling wedge pattern. And these tend to, you know, wick down, hits the bottom range before wicking back to the upside. I mean, Yeah, a couple of interesting things. Daily candles still, in my opinion, just look a little bit bearish. I mean, you could argue the triple bottom breakout on that one. Even a really shallow cup and handle, couldn't you? Which generally could see price come to the downside before breaking back out. Maybe, maybe this wicks down here a little bit and then maybe it does. Pretty interesting. Like I said, lots of potential right now. And I think it all leads back to what's going on in Iran. That's just my personal opinion. I think it's all pretty volatile over there. It's all pretty wild. And in my very, very humble opinion, is probably going to depict where the market moves. Just my personal view. But hey, we'll have to see. Everyone thinks the channel is rubbish, 2-bit. You don't have to be like that, do you, Beebs? I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. It's fine. It's fine. We're actually picking up some new viewers, some new subscribers, which is great, by the way. And if you're brand new to the live stream as well, don't forget, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn notification bell on so you don't miss a beat. Like I said, I'm trying to bring you really different content. I watch a load of other YouTubers, actually. I've started doing it more and more often, and I'm obviously going to be marginally biased because it's my channel, but I don't think anyone else has A, the community that we have, B, goes into the stuff that I think people care about. I could sit here and be like, oh, and this channel and that price action, and look at this pattern, and just bring charts up all the day. And I know some traders like that kind of stuff. It's fine. But I just think we go in a little bit different to other people. We sort of dial in different elements of the market, which I don't necessarily believe a lot of people do. So, if you want to stay up to date, you want to stay dialed in, this is the channel for you, in my opinion, by the way. Also, it supports me in trying to not do my normal 9-to-5 job and do this full time, which would be great. Whether we get that opportunity is a totally different matter, though. Anyway, especially after that joke. Come on, don't be like that. Don't be like that. I can't believe it's not a wag tail, but a wag Jill. I mean, come on. You've got to find that funny, surely. Surely. Oh, maybe not. Okay, fine. But you want to make the market go down, don't you? I mean, I could buy them. If I bought this or went long on the market, then it would definitely come down. Like, if you want me to do that, that's fine. I could long this. 200x leverage, long it, and it'll absolutely dump, yeah. It'll absolutely dump. Anyway. Do you know what I mean? I'm just here for the wagtail. Get out of here. Get out of here. Diane, thank you so much for sharing the live. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Wag fail. Hey, Tomato Pete. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Right, let's stick to the 30-minute chart. Let's see what's kind of going on here. We haven't got much long left on the stream. We're like, how long have we been live for right now? Anyone know? Like an hour and 10 minutes. So that's fine. That's fine. I want to kind of see how this pattern plays out. Again, are we going to get any sort of movement? Maybe we just consolidate. Maybe we consolidate here. Again, interesting. I mean, this would be a super broad left shoulder, head, right shoulder forming out. What does it mean? Generally speaking, head and shoulders pattern play out bearishly. So, that could be an argument. That could be one that we need to think about potentially. There isn't. I was just seeing if there's any other breaking news coming in, but it doesn't look like it. Other than the SEC stuff, whatever the heck RizCam is. President election winner. Oh, there's some new polymarket stuff. Should we take a look at that? Let's see. Yeah, thanks to Matt Pete. You only come for the breaking news. I know it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, bro. I got you covered. I got you covered. Here we go then. Potential winners. Now, obviously, this doesn't affect me. So, again, I'm not playing political games here, by the way, because, it is irrelevant to me, really. But President-elect winner 2028, J.D. Vance, apparently. Well, like Gavin Newsom. Is he really at 16%? That's wild. Marco Rubio, AOC, Kamala Harris. Trump. You've got to feel a little bit. Look at this. Look at this. Dwayne The Rock Johnson's 2%. Who the hell is voted on that? Wow. You've got to be pretty disappointed if you are Vivek Ramaswamy, who has got less chance of getting the presidency than Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I'm just saying, by the way. That is a pretty wild statement, isn't it? If you think about it. Jesus. That is insane. Kim Kardashian at 1%. Michelle Obama less than Kim Kardashian. Pretty wild. Tim Walz at 1%. He's got $33 million. Who the hell is betting on Tim Walz? Although I imagine loads of people are doing this. Like, surely this doesn't make any sense, right? Surely not. So again, so if I was to put like, I'm not advocating this, by the way. Okay, so you make 81 cents on it if you put $100 on it. So for $150,000, you'd make 1,200. I mean, I think that's a safe bet. I'm not saying you should do it, by the way, at all. Let's just be dead clear about that. But I mean, some of these are kind of pretty crazy, aren't they? I mean, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. It's kind of wild. Make $16. Since the war, gold and silver are going the wrong way. Well, we talked about that earlier on. We talked about the gold and silver sell-off. I mean, we've been discussing that for ages, though. You know, we've always been in the world that gold and silver are probably going to end up selling off. And my opinion was, and the more and more I look at it as well, by the way, the more and more I think that this was a deliberate move pre the old invasion to get people to FOMO buy into gold and silver. Like, it's kind of wild when you think about it. And what's even crazier is literally that's exactly what it's doing. So, right, let's take a look at the pre-markets and see what's going on here with the pre-markets, just to give us a bit of a flavor as to what's coming tomorrow. So where do we sit right now? World markets, particularly in the Americas, feel bearish. Europe right now, bearish. Asia Pacific is a little bit bullish, actually. Interesting. Now, what we do know, though, generally speaking, whenever the Asia Pacific region tend to be a little bit bullish, you see a very, very strong wick market opens, and then everything seems to sort of fade away a little bit. But yeah, the ASX 200 looking really strong, actually, 0.44. Kind of wild. Commodities looking like another spike in terms of Brent crude oil. Look at that. Potentially nearly heading, I mean, I think it's above that right now. Gold, silver, soybeans looking down. Energy looks like it's going to skyrocket, as you'd expect. Metals, like I said, I mean, feels like it is going to play out. I mean, maybe this ends up with a little pump on BTC, but I don't think so. Ravi says, do you see any reversal from this point in the US 30 for at least 500 to 1,000 points? I mean, maybe. I mean, the bond market is generally seen as a very much risk off. Very much risk off. So, I mean, right now, I think whenever you have the war in Iran, and bear in mind, the longer it goes on, the more likelihood you are going to see this kind of continue to move in and actually probably see this push a little bit higher, particularly on the 30-year. And I think the 10-year as well will probably move up just because people will move into this. Like, they'll move into 10-year treasuries, 30-year treasuries as market volatility sings in. They're going to lock in some gains. Remember, people are just going to move their money into this, which is pretty wild. I was looking earlier as well, by the way, MicroStrategy, the most shorted stock in the entire market right now, is insane. I mean, I do think MicroStrategy will come lower as the price of BTC goes down, but, you know, I mean, again, these are where you want to be looking at risk versus reward ratio. Like, what can you get into in order to potentially give you a move back to the upside? I mean, could be interesting. Right, have we got any breaking news? There's a couple of tweets just coming right now. Trump's oil seems to have pretty much stabilized. Okay, investors are hedging against the market crash at record pace. Interesting. Look at this. Cross-asset hedging. This is kind of an interesting one. So, compiled of Citadel Securities GMI as February 20th. So, it's in these, look. HYG, LQD, JNK, BKLN. Put open interest. Yeah, people are like dialing into risk off, which is interesting, which again probably supports the narrative that we think BTC is going to go down. It's weird, isn't it? Because we all want BTC to go down, by the way. By the way, do you see Junction? Holy crap, this thing absolutely skyrocketed today, 10%. So yeah, we want to see BTC come down a little bit. And I know people don't think it's going to, but think about that. But yeah, pretty interesting here. Look on the cross-asset hedging right now. The Kobayashi thing as well was pretty interesting. They just released something that was about jet fuel, I think it was. I can't find it. Don't let them ride to the end. If they go up 10% or more, I sell. What's that for? Oh, you mean your trades? Gold is way overpriced. Innovative, I agree. We've been saying the gold like reversals come in. Like, we've been in the world saying, look, I absolutely think gold's gonna roll over. We said about silver. We were saying that all of like 2 weeks ago. Whenever this move started up on gold, we were like, yep, this is definitely just a liquidity grab. Like, people are just going to FOMO this in. They're going to run this up and then dump it. And look, we actually had the biggest wick down here on the daily candle on pretty much what we've seen outside of what it did exactly the same here and dumped down. So yeah, just my little personal humble opinion. All right, for what it's worth. Okay, for what it's worth. So, but yeah, definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. Currencies all look bad. What's the Japanese yen doing? Flat. Bonds. You were asking about bonds. So yeah, I mean the bond market, they feel like they're going to go up a little bit. Ah, right. Prediction markets. Yeah, they feel the bond market feels like it may go up a little bit more as well. So yeah. Lots of volatility in this market, lots of uncertainty as the Iranian and US war continues, or the battle. Then this is kind of what we've got to focus in on. It's coming. Yeah, look, I think gold's going to roll over. We've been saying it for ages that we think gold's probably going to be the driver. Does it mean that people will FOMO into BTC? Probably not. You probably end up seeing people FOMO into stocks. Maybe they FOMO into some, treasury bonds. That could be a thing potentially. Just did no for BTC to close above 71,500 at 5 p.m. Oh yeah, people tell me about this sort of stuff. I've never done it. I was playing a bit of roulette last night, but nothing crazy. Is it this one? 5 minute up or down? Is it this? I mean, by the way, I'm not in any way, shape, or form advocating for this at all. It's just I think it's curious to see what it is. It's curious. What is it, like 50-50? I mean, it's kind of wild, isn't it? Oh, no, this is slightly different, isn't it? Are the UK going to join the war? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, have you not seen the Class 40, whatever it is, destroyer, HMS Dragon is still parked in Portsmouth? We're a joke, mate. Let me tell you. Don't get me started on it. I ranted about this last night. No, is the honest answer because we have an inept government. That is the unfortunate problem. We're actually having to use the French and the Spanish and even the Greeks to support Cyprus. It's just... let's just move on because it's just going to really wind me up. Really, really wind me up. I think we should, by the way. That's just my personal opinion. Sovereign territory in Cyprus was attacked. We should absolutely, therefore, have, troops and stuff out there. Do I think we should be bombing around? No. But do I think we should be absolutely protecting sovereign territory? Yes, I do. But we're not. We're not. It's parked at the minute in Portsmouth. So yeah, good news. All right, everybody, where are we at right now? 1 minute 27. What time is it? Nearly 10:15. Okay, it's nearly time for me to get out of here as BTC continues its sell-off right now. So yeah, watch this. I think, like we said, could definitely see this wick down. Could be an interesting move here from to the downside as well. So, keep your eyes peeled on it. Okay, everybody. Okay. Yeah, I think so. That is going to do us for tonight's live stream. Don't forget, I'm going to be back tomorrow night breaking down this market. Hopefully you got some value out of tonight. If you did, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button. And if you're watching this after the live stream event, then don't forget, 4 p.m. Eastern every single day, 9 p.m. UK time, we stream live on TikTok and we stream live here on YouTube as well. So as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, check out the links in the description. Come and join our totally free Discord if you want a little bit more. There is a paid opportunity as well. Check out those links if you want to go and trade all your favorite cryptocurrencies. And until tomorrow night, look out for the price. Keep eyes on socials. And I, as always, will catch you tomorrow night. Take care.